a few things we need to talk about within the musical component of life. Music, hip-hop, just a little bit of pop because Bruno Mars dropped an album. Blackpink also dropped for the first time in 300 decades. Same with Bruno Mars. Oh my gosh. Blackpink is extremely washed. I can't believe it, bro. There's literally nothing to enjoy about with their recent extended play. It's actually crazy. My expectations were already low because it's been decades. But they went lower and lower the more I listened to it. And the song I kind of like. The music video had AI in it. The song that dropped a week before, the music video had AI in it. They even credited the AI people, artists, and whatever the case is. Bro, is it even proper to call them artists? I don't think so, right? Nah, it just doesn't sound right. AI artists. They don't even make art. They just copy and paste some bullshit, and then they make it seem like it's art. I don't remember a single song title from it. Usually when I forget, it's mostly because I usually go off first listen. But I listened to this thing a few times, and I still don't remember the song titles. That's how forgettable this comeback is. Usually I'm not the person to talk about forgettable music because it's really nonsense talk. But in this context, it doesn't even feel like they actually came back together and dropped a collective EP. They actually came together and actually dropped music. It felt like they half-assed it, and all four of them were in separate rooms making it. Ooh. I think they were just doing anything in the booth because they had to. They dropped music because they were obligated to. They want to make solo music. Not to say that they don't like each other, because that's a crazy dive headfirst assumption. They just don't have the synergy to make music together anymore. They barely even dropped music. They barely even have 70 songs in their catalog. And this is what we get for 10 years of a group. 10 years of a group, Twice has gajillion songs. Red Velvet has a good chunk of songs as well. But Blackpink, being together for 10 years and they barely drop music. I think it's wild, ultimately, how in the long grand scheme of things, they're gonna become a what if story. Even though they're like one of the most popular groups of all time, they just feel like a what if. And it's so odd to say because they were one of the biggest groups. So obviously in most cases, people really rock with their music. But then in other cases, they barely drop music even as well. Nothing about this EP is enjoyable. Absolutely nothing. Even when I tried my hardest to like their second single that they dropped with the music video, but that shit had AI in it. Some of the sounds, the soundscape, after I gave it a few more listens, when I enjoyed it the first time, it just started sounding a lot odd. It just felt out of place to me. So even with that song, it just felt out of place. Crazy how Blackpink dropped a Draymond Green bar in our glorious year 2026. And then Draymond talked about it too on his podcast. Are we deadass? What simulation am I living in? There's that thing. And then when BTS drop later this month, BTS and JPEG Mafia are dropping music together. Are we serious? Are we deadass? Yo, what simulation am I living in for JPEG Mafia and BTS to drop music together? Man, life can be extremely comedic. It really can be. Bruno Mars, he dropped the Romantic album. Pretty good album. Really enjoyed some of the songs. I think in hindsight, Bruno Mars did not have to take a 500 decade break just for him to come back and drop music like this. You know, it's still a pretty good album. There's just certain cases as well where I know Bruno can do more music. But I guess he's just manufacturing the market. Question mark? He can't be dropping this little music, but has so much talent. And some of the songs within the Romantic, they correlate. There's not really structure within these songs either. He's just showcasing his romantic side once again. And then again, I think there's just so much more. I think there's a lot left to be desired within what he's striving for. So, with that in mind, it doesn't make the album the worst or bad. He executed it way too well. Again, there's just too much to be desired within that album for it to have a long-term stay within my own rotation of music. It's so difficult because everything doesn't really have a particular story that I can just go back to and just re-listen to it again and again. It just all feel not necessarily similar, but I got this other song for me to listen to that sounds a little bit better than this one. And it's talking about practically the similar story. There's like no progression with the storyline or the concept. It's just flatline. Can't really ask for too much for a guy that dropped after 300 decades. But then again, for somebody that is extremely talented like him, I think the expectations are too high and skyrocketing to maximum levels that I don't think one person can always achieve. It's just too unrealistic. And then with also that in mind, he is dropping a double album. Bro, who asked you to drop a double album? Bro, he's dropping another 20 plus song album again. Yeah. There's just no freaking way that he is gonna drop a cohesive album ever again. Or just in general. He's just not for me. But when I give him chances, there's just always some chunks where there's just so much to be desired, and there's just songs that are so freaking good. But my goodness, you dropping another double album? Not in another double album in terms of just that, because this is probably something he hasn't done. But he's dropping 20 song albums before, and again, it's just one of those times where, dude, you don't need to drop a 20 song album. You are not an artist that we can sit through 20 plus songs like that, because you're a vibe rapper. And unless you can really heighten the heights with the vibes, like a Future can, especially back in 2014, 2015, then 20 songs, you don't need to do that. You can go a solid 12, 14 songs and leave it at that. I think some guys are just extremely bold. They're at least taking it. I don't fault them for that. It's more of a, okay, if it's not going to really be received that well the first time, you don't need to continue on with it. You can sometimes just leave it at that, and you don't have to overextend yourself just because. You gotta work within whatever you can do right now. You don't have to always reach for the stars. Happens sometimes though, so now I can fault them. So in a general grand scheme of things, music has been off to a really good start so far. Really good start. I'm very glad with what we've gotten. Even if J. Cole's double album has some left to be desired, even though Don Toliver, I didn't like that album, it was just not for me. A$AP Rocky, it did not have to be 500 years for us to wait for this album. Even has some bangers. But by storm, the injury reserve members, aside from Krogs because he passed away, they dropped the best album this year for me. Them and Jill Scott. Them and Jill Scott, they went crazy. Jill Scott went crazy. She's in her latter years of her life, and she's dropping peak music still. Injury Reserve, they dropped some of the most intriguing pieces of music. Even giving tribute to Groggs, their former member, on Injury Reserve. Dude, that whole album's amazing. Y'all should check out By Storm. Y'all should check out the Jill Scott album. That has some jazz elements. That has some soul, some funk. That album is just amazing. I'm very content with the music that dropped this year. Even May Keem dropped a pretty solid album. Wanted a little bit more, but for what it is, you don't only need to ask for too much. You don't need to be given too much. You gotta start off slow sometimes. That's alright. So, can't wait to see what else is in store. Will Isaiah Rashad finally drop an album? Is Frank Ocean gonna come out of retirement and drop an album? That's never gonna happen. Let's give it up, guys. Give it up. He's retired. Give up on the Rihanna album potential. She's never dropping again. Is this a year where maybe Andre 3000 probably goes on another little feature run? Just a little? Does Black Dot drop cheat codes too with Danger Mouse? I really need that, bro. I need it so bad. I need it so bad. Can't wait to see what's in store for this year for music. It's gonna be so fun. Especially with how it started. It's gotta finish strong. Probably gonna have a slow, a little middle of the part because, hey, it happens. But I think the summer bangers are gonna be better this year than last year. Definitely. That's what I predict. If it gets worse, hey, I'll eat my words. I'll admit I'm wrong. So that's what's up, y'all.